never done videos really, and one of the reasons why is because I could never realistically hear them from you guys, or myself for that matter. That being said, I thought this was a good opportunity to give you my story. Some people have asked, some people have wondered, some people don't get it, but the reality is I went through something really crazy last year. Since I was 20 years old, I had perfect hearing when I was 20 years old, and then all of a sudden, I just noticed like a hearing loss of some sort, and I didn't understand why. I stopped hearing things that were just like everybody else was hearing, like birds and beeps and seatbelts and seatbelt chimes, that is, and stuff like that. So what I did is I went to Miracle Ear when I was in my 20s, and they said, yeah, you absolutely need hearing aids, and it was definitely way too cool to get a hearing aid, so I literally just avoided it. It's probably a mistake, but it is what it is. Fast forward 5 years. 5 years later, I got married. Just to give you an example, I'm just trying to paint a picture for you guys. When I got married, I literally had to memorize my wedding vows prior to getting married, just because I didn't want to not hear them stumble at the altar and be like, what'd you say? And that was kind of like just normal for me. That was my life. Fast forward another 5 years, I have kids. I'm starting to struggle. I can't hear what they're saying. I can't, just struggling through every aspect of life as far as hearing is concerned. Started taking myself out of social opportunities and meetings, and I've been in the mortgage industry for 20 years this year in September. Been married for 15 years in September as well. But for the last 5 years have been a major struggle. I started text messaging a lot of my customers instead of having phone conversations with them, just because some customers, the pitch of their voice, I just couldn't hear them well. Fast forward to last February. Last February 2017, very eye-opening and shocking day in my life. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning completely 100% deaf. Couldn't hear anything. Denise, I can't hear. I don't think I could hear my voice. And she's like, you're yelling. I could see her reading her lips. Wow, okay, well, what am I gonna do? Panicked. She's like, just go back to sleep. Maybe your ears will pop, whatever. I go back to sleep somehow, some way. I wake up, my right ear is dead. Completely 100%. I can't hear anything out of it. However, my left ear is at 16% hearing. So I found out. I could hear the dog bark. I could hear what people are saying, but I don't know what they're saying. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like, I could hear the voices. I could hear everybody talking, but I don't necessarily always know what people are saying to me, which is crazy. So I panicked. I went to a bunch of doctors. I went to Sarasota, New York. I went everywhere. I started doing a lot of research, and I wound up in Columbia University Hospital last year. And I was there 17 times. You saw me check in on Facebook sometimes. I was there 17 times from 8 o'clock in the morning till sometimes 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night over to George Washington Bridge. Denise went with me every single time, so I love you. Thank you for doing that. Amazing, unbelievable time in my life. I was panicking and trying to figure out what to do, and I got myself involved in a clinical trial, so that's why I was there 17 times last year. The clinical trial was to try to fix my hearing with a gene therapy. I stood in that gene therapy study, and was the number 12th person in the world to go through it. And unfortunately, it just didn't work. So I had to throw in a towel to make a decision in February, March this year. I made a decision. I had to do a cochlear implant. A cochlear implant's where you have two pieces: an internal piece that's wired to your inner ear, and then an external piece, which is your microphone. So I went through surgery in April. And surgery was actually pretty easy. It's an outpatient procedure. You go out, you go in the morning, you come out, and you're home by 5 o'clock. You have this crazy bandage on your head. It wasn't that bad, actually, to be honest with you. Next day I was walking around, had a cut behind my ear just because that's where the incision was. That healed pretty well. And a month later, you get activated. And during activation, a lot of people have seen this stuff and they're like, what are you talking about? You weren't deaf. And I really was. So what happens at activation is all of a sudden they start activating the internal part of your cochlear implant, and they hook you up to a computer, and then all of a sudden you start hearing beeps and sounds that I haven't heard in 20 years at this point. Like, I haven't heard a bird in 20 years. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I literally haven't. Crickets at night, ducks, I don't know, seatbelt chimes, alarms, fire alarms, like all sorts of crazy stuff. I just simply never heard it. I have, but it was 20 years ago. So I have memory of these sounds, but all of a sudden, during the audiologist appointment, when you're getting activated with your cochlear implant, they start making all these noises in your ear, and it's shocking. It's like, holy cow. And that's the video that my wife put on about 3 months ago. And then they turn it on, and then they start talking. Your family starts talking, your kids start talking, your wife starts talking, your daughter starts talking, and then I start talking and asking questions. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, I have just exchanged my deaf life for this digital. Every voice sounds exactly the same, and some sort of combination of like an R2D2 or Darth Vader type of voice. And it was absolutely shocking. I remember leaving that appointment, asking the audiologist, like, I can't leave like this. Like, this isn't normal. She's like, no, your brain, you don't understand. This is not a microphone with a speaker that's amplifying the sound. This is a microphone with a wire inside your inner ear that's sending electronic signals to your auditory nerve. And that is a totally new way to hear. And your brain can make sense of it, but you have to rehab your hearing. I'm like, what is rehabbing? Okay, I have to rehab my hearing. What do I have to do? This has to get better. So rehabbing my hearing is basically spend time in speech situations. So put yourself in, speaking to people. This is like something that I don't really necessarily do a lot because I can't hear people, so I try to avoid those situations. So now all of a sudden I'm a fish out of water, having to talk to people face to face over the phone, which did not work in the beginning at all, and listening to videos online and TV, and then and then I had about 3 or 4 different what they call mapping appointments where they kind of make adjustments. But after about a week, everybody started sounding like a human being again. No more R2D2 Darth Vader. So that was pretty good. So about 2.5 weeks ago, I went for my audiologist appointment to get a clear to go back to work. And I was hoping I was going to get that clear to go back to work. During that appointment, in a sound booth, they told me that prior to getting a cochlear implant, I had 4% word recognition. That makes sense to anybody? I mean, I was shocked by that number. Like, yeah, before you had a cochlear implant, you can only hear 4% of the words. That means out of 100 words, I got 96 wrong, like 100% wrong. Like, holy cow, like 96 of out of 100 were wrong, and only 4 words I got correct. That being said, they gave me that information only 2.5 weeks ago, and it was shocking to me. But what they did also tell me is they just did a new hearing test, and I was able to score 80%. So now out of 100 words, I get 80 correct. And during those 100 words, they throw some background noise in there, like you're in a bar situation or something like that, and or a restaurant situation, and they set some background noise. So the words that I did get wrong were like, I said pawn, and the word was dawn, but there was a whole bunch of background noise. So they found that perfectly normal, and I'm super excited, but I just wanted to let everybody know. You saw me check in 17 times last year in the Columbia University. A lot of people have asking. This is my cochlear implant. It is, it's part of me. I'm super excited to have it. I get some funny looks, and I don't care. Ask me questions. I'm game. But I'm happy to announce I'm back to work. If you need a mortgage, let me know. You need a burger, let Denise know. If you have a burger idea, let me know as well. But honestly, I'm happy to be back to work. And if you need anything, let me know. But that's my story. If you have any questions, feel free. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.